So, I was scrolling through the feeds this morning, catching up on the usual industry noise, and I saw a headline that honestly made me stop and squint. You guys know how Nintendo operates. They sit on that massive pile of cash in Kyoto, treating it like a high score they're terrified to touch. They date studios, they partner up, but they almost never put a ring on it. But this week, they just announced they're buying the house. Well, okay, most of the house. If you missed the press release dropped on the 26th, Nintendo announced plans to acquire Bandai Namco Studios Singapore. But, and keep it 100 here, it's not a done deal where they walk in and change the locks today. They're picking up 80% of the shares come April 1st, 2026, with the rest coming later once things stabilize. So it's a slow burn. Before we go specifically into why this matters for the games we're playing right now, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up with the real industry moves, and smash that hype button. Seriously, hype it up, it helps the algorithm figure out we actually care about the nitty-gritty details. Alright, let's cut through the confusion, because I've already seen people on Twitter getting this twisted. There's this narrative floating around that these are the guys who carried Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Smash Ultimate. Stop right there. That's not this crew. The Singapore team, they're the ones who are deep in the trenches supporting Splatoon 3. You know those ink physics and the way the weapons look? That's them. They also did a ton of work on new Pokemon Snap and helped out with Kirby. On the Bandai Namco side, they were instrumental in Ace Combat 7. So Nintendo isn't buying the Mario Kart team. They're buying the make it look pretty and run smooth team. They're buying capacity. And look, we've been living with the Switch 2 for about 5 months now. Since that June 5th launch, we've all been messing around with the magnetic Joy-Cons, which are, let's be real, a total game changer, and seeing what that upgraded CPU can actually do on a 4K screen. Mario Kart World looks incredible, obviously, but we also know the reality of this generation. Furukawa wasn't kidding when he said development is getting more time-consuming. You can't just have a small team bang out a hit anymore. We're in the era of high-fidelity assets, massive open worlds, and 4K output. That stuff takes manpower. That's why this acquisition is interesting now. It's not about the launch lineup. That ship has sailed. We already spent our $450. This move is about 2026, 2027, and beyond. It's Nintendo looking at their schedule and realizing, man, if we want a new Fire Emblem or a new Monolith soft game, we can't have our lead designers spending 6 months modeling trees. This Singapore studio, soon to be Nintendo Studios Singapore, is basically becoming their specialized support arm for art assets and environmental details in Southeast Asia. It's a move to prevent those infamous Nintendo droughts. You guys remember the droughts? We don't want to go back to that. By locking down this team, Nintendo is securing a pipeline. They're ensuring that when the main EPD teams in Japan are dreaming up the next gameplay mechanic for Zelda, they have a reliable in-house team to handle the grunt work. It's not a megaton game announcement, but it's the only way we get a steady stream of games that actually utilize that Switch 2 hardware without taking 6 years to develop. And let's be real about the new IP speculation. I've seen people shouting about Star Fox Zero or F-Zero revivals because of Ace Combat 7. Look, I want that too. I want it bad. But right now, this looks like a support play. It looks like Nintendo shoring up their defenses to make sure the Switch 2 momentum doesn't die out in year 2. They said the financial impact for this fiscal year is minor, which makes sense since the deal doesn't even partially close until April. But the long-term play, it's smart. It's expanding their footprint into Southeast Asia, tapping into a massive talent pool that knows how to work on modern engines. So, don't expect a sudden announcement that this studio is making Star Fox Zero 2 tomorrow. But do expect that the games coming out in late 2026 are gonna look polished as hell because this team is on the payroll. It's just wild to see Nintendo being this proactive. They see the landscape, they know we're demanding more from this console, and they are quietly building the army needed to deliver it. So that's for today. I'm curious where you guys land. Do you think this is just boring corporate shuffling, or does it give you hope that we won't have to wait 5 years for the next big 3D platformer? Let me know in the comments. See you next video. Until then, stay informed, stay excited.